Zuklagar everyone, and welcome to Star Wars What Ifs. Here we take events throughout the Star Wars universe and try to figure out what would happen if they were changed just a little bit. Some will end well, some will end badly, and others will result in sweeping changes to the Star Wars universe, the likes of which has not been seen before. This what if is something that I've been considering for a long time, and something that I had hoped to get out sooner. But now the time has come for everything to fall apart. So let's find out what would happen if Grand Admiral Thrawn was on the front lines of the First Galactic Civil War. "18 years have passed since the ascendancy of the Galactic Empire to power. The Rebel Alliance has been plaguing Imperial forces for over a year, and the Emperor is getting tired of it. In order to deal with the rebels once and for all, he turns to his chief enforcer, Darth Vader, and tells him that he can have any resources the Empire can offer in order to wipe out the rebels. Vader had heard about an alien admiral who had been sent to the unknown regions to expand the Empire's influence there. Though he had also heard of the cold, calculating brilliance of this alien admiral, he realized that someone like him would be the greatest ally in this war against the rebellion. As such, Admiral Thrawn is recalled from the unknown regions and is made Darth Vader's personal military advisor. Promoted to the rank of Grand Admiral in secret at a request from Darth Vader, Thrawn sets about preparing the Empire's superweapon, the Death Star, for battle. Thrawn's first act as Grand Admiral is to inspect the Death Star itself in order to determine if it had any weaknesses the rebels could exploit. It is there that he discovers the ventilation tube that led directly to the core of the weapon. Realizing that this would be a weakness, he brings it to the attention of Darth Vader, and they bring Bevel Limisk, who had designed the weapon before them. It is here that Thrawn's brilliance shines through. Instead of the exhaust port, he has Bevel Limisk redesign the entire ventilation system so that it is less vulnerable to attack. But the redesigning was only phase 1 of his plan. After this, he talks to Vader and convinces him that the best way to draw out the rebels is to leak unaltered Death Star plans to them with the original design flaw. The Grand Admiral was later present during the interrogation of Princess Leia during her capture on board the Death Star. He is, however, beginning to become concerned. His plans had not accounted for the presence of Moff Tarkin, who ordered the capture of Princess Leia over Tatooine. When Tarkin came to the conclusion that the princess would not give up the location of the rebel base without the proper motivation, Thrawn alone objected to the course of actions laid out by the Moff. Thrawn believed that destroying Alderaan would only enrage the rebels more and make them an even bigger threat to the Empire. Vader, for the most part, sees the wisdom in what Thrawn is saying. However, Tarkin goes over both their heads and brings the proposal straight to the Emperor himself. With Vader's hands tied, Tarkin plans the destruction of Alderaan to coincide with when Thrawn was in one of his meditation sessions. Thrawn rushes onto the observation deck to see the destruction of Alderaan, realizing that he had arrived too late. While this did not ruin Thrawn's ultimate plan, the fact that Alderaan was destroyed would, in Thrawn's mind, drive more systems to turn against the Empire. However, with the plan still missing and the princess refusing to give up the location of the rebel base, it started to look like the plan was going to fall apart. And then the Millennium Falcon was captured by the Death Star. Thrawn stood back and watched as the princess was freed and the Falcon escaped. However, it was not until they tracked the Millennium Falcon to the rebel base on Yavin 4 that the true brilliance of Thrawn's plan came into action. As he had planned, when the rebel fighters opened fire on the dummy ventilation shaft, it simply bounced off harmlessly. Luke Skywalker was killed in an attempted escape from the Death Star, and Han Solo and Chewbacca managed to make it back to Yavin 4 in time to get as many people off the planet as they could in the Millennium Falcon. Yavin 4 was destroyed, with most of the rebel leaders and forces still on the planet. Moff Tarkin also went missing during the Battle of Yavin. It is suspected that he was killed by officers loyal to Grand Admiral Thrawn, and possibly his body was thrown into the beam that destroyed Yavin 4. With most of their leadership now dead, either on Alderaan or on Yavin 4, the rest of the Alliance goes into hiding in preparation for an eventual fight against the Empire. Leia Organa becomes aware of her own Force abilities and is put in contact with the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who directs her to Dagobah to find Yoda in order to be trained in the ways of the Jedi. She is accompanied by Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Wedge Antilles, all of which now make up the leadership of the Rebel Alliance after Yavin 4. At the same time, in the Imperial capital of Coruscant, Grand Admiral Thrawn's part in the destruction of Yavin 4 and the Rebel Alliance has become public knowledge. The Emperor, fully recognizing Thrawn's skill in combat, tasks him with hunting down the remaining rebel forces, giving him command of the Super Star Destroyer Vengeance. However, for many years the Rebel Alliance would remain underground, and the Empire would not hear from them until 10 years after the Battle of Yavin. The rebellion once again began launching attacks on Imperial forces, including taking several powerful Star Destroyers under their command. The Empire attempts to relaunch the Death Star in order to take down the rebels, only to find that it had been sabotaged by a rebel spy and was destroyed when it attempted to fire its weapon. As the Second War with the Rebel Alliance raged on, Darth Vader approached Grand Admiral Thrawn with a radical new plan. Together, they were going to kill Emperor Palpatine. So, there you have it, my first What If video. Well, part 1 of my first What If video. That's right, if the cliffhanger ending did not give it away, there will be a part 2 sometime in the future, and even a part 3. It's entirely possible that I'm also wrong about what will happen, and I want everyone's input as to what you think will happen next. My next video is going to be another episode of my Let's Play, and after that, well, I've got a little something special that I've been working on for a while, and I think you guys will find it interesting. So with nothing else to say, I will see you all next time, and may the dark side be with you all, always.